sending out frequencies underneath the streets of Cincinnati. It's WTBS, the Basement Show After Dark with Lee Zellars.
What's going on, world? What's going on, Facebook? What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Cincinnati? We're back in a different way, though. I kind of wanted to sort of keep the spirit of the Basement Show, which some of you probably are familiar with, alive. Ran into so many different people, and it was asking me about the show, and I had to tell them the show is like in its off season, basically on a little so-called hiatus, is what they say in Hollywood. And I was explaining that the show probably wouldn't be back up until April. And based on that, I had people like, wow, that's a long time. What you gonna do in the meantime? Because I think you need to keep that going because you had a nice little vibe there. And I was kind of like, yeah, I did. And I was kind of feeling that. And yeah, being the host for the Basement Show for the first time, it took me a minute to get the motor going. So I kind of thought about some of the things that people were saying. And I didn't like the idea of being gone away that long because I love you. I don't want to be away from you that long. So here's where we are. We are with the Basement Show After Dark with your host, Lee Zellars. And we're going to do a thing where I want to be able to do like one-on-one interviews with local talent here in Cincinnati because we got so much talent in the Natty and I want to be able to share them with you. And I also want to just, kind of touch on some things that's going on locally in the news, some things that's going on nationally in the news. And, as I'm on here, we had the 50th anniversary, was the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. Big turnout. I'm guessing Tea Partiers, right-wing Republicans, they was all sitting at home like, damn! Because they don't want to see that. And on top of that, Trayvon's mom was there, and, that's that whole issue we still dealing with. Then I saw something here on the internet about Jerry Sandusky. I just thought at this point, somewhere in prison, he might have been shanked by now. I'm surprised, they haven't found him, kind of like pretty jacked up in the shower by Big Tyrone or Pookie and the boys, but I guess he still got a shot there, dude. You might, you might make it to this, season holiday. Who knows? Because I can't understand why we even sometimes, because let's put it like this. We're spending a lot of money to keep this guy housed in prison. He raped children, okay? He raped children, little boys. But yet, we're going to spend money but it's our system. People will say he has the right. He was tried and found guilty. Now he's being punished. No, punishment would have been possibly the electric chair, or what would he done back in the old 18th century England? He would have been beheaded. I don't know. I'm not going to get off into that. Some other things that was going on. I saw something else crazy here. Because it's always some madness that's always taking place in the world of entertainment. One thing I want to say, this stuff with these pictures about the giant fish, the squid, the big sharks, you see all this stuff on Google, it's even on Facebook. Photoshop, people. Photoshop is not real, quit believing it. There was some stuff going on too. Let me check this other piece I saw. I believe it's in the Enquirer, Cincinnati Enquirer. Some people are not a fan of the Enquirer, but it's a paper, it keeps you informed. Yeah, San Diego mayor, you probably heard this story about the guy. He's been kind of like, he's an old dude, kind of touching up the women who don't want to be touched. I believe he finally, they said there's some kind of settlement deal. Another deal probably would have helped this guy before he reached this stage. Should have told his doctor to lower his Viagra dosage. He's an old dude, 65, 70, he's popping the blue pills a little bit too much regular, and he's getting a bit frisky with the ladies. That's, it's not a good thing. It's sometimes, this new medicine and old men, it's not that good. Another piece I was checking out in the USA Today, it's a story Are better cockpit controls making airline pilots lazy? Interesting. Because, we've been having situations lately with planes crashing and missing the runway, and I guess you got the pilots up there sipping. The difference here is I can sip and you're not a passenger. I'm just flying this. My cargo is this. So, but your pilot doing a little of these, kicking back, probably nodding off, and when he wakes up, he realized he fell short of the runway. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I want to get into my guest that is here. And like I said, this show is about bringing you talent that is here in Cincinnati. We want to expose you to them, expose them to you. And my guest today is Big Stash. Big Stash, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Lee? Thank you.
Glad to have you on.
Honor.
Now, here's the thing, too. See, this is what I'm going to be doing on the show. When I have a guest come on, I want the guest, because see, I'm old school. I came up back in the day of the era of Boosie Collins, Funkadelic, Ohio Players, Cameo, Barcades. That was my era. That was an era where, let's just say, stuff wasn't as crazy as it is today.
Not at all.
So when I bring a guest on, like Big Stash, my first guest on the show, I want my guest to bring on an LP. Bring me on something that you like so we can spin this here on the old school turntable.
Wax.
Vinyl.
Yeah.
See, here, young people, if you're watching the show, you might hear a little crackling sound. See, it's not as crisp as what you would hear when you're listening to those CDs. This is a little different. Turn it up a little bit there. Oh. See, George, see, this takes me back, man. Riverfront Coliseum, God, this might have been like, 75, 76, somewhere back then. Back when we was young and we twisted it up a little bit, and see, back then it wasn't a whole blunt thing.
No.
Tops was the thing. Yeah, I like
zigzag.
Zigzag. That was the thing. You just let that roll for a minute. Yeah.
Horny horns.
Yeah.
Do not attempt to adjust your radio, there's nothing wrong. We have taken control as to bring you this special show, and we will return it to you as soon as you are approved. Welcome to station WEFUNK, better known as We Funk.
A deeper still the mothership connection. Oh man, that's bro. Let me turn it down before I get caught up. Let me just stop it right there so I can talk with my guest, Big Stash. Hey man, I'm glad that got you here on my first show.
Thank you. It's an honor.
The cool thing sometimes, cause we hooked up on Twitter,
Yep.
basically, and it's kind of funny about Twitter and Facebook, because it's like people that's on Twitter a lot, they tweet a lot, they don't too much want to do Facebook. That's kind of weird.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
What do you think that? Why is that? Why is
All my family on Facebook. That's why.
Okay.
I ain't got no relatives on Twitter, so
Okay.
on Twitter I can make jive jokes or whatever with people that don't know me, and it's okay, But
Well, one of the cool things I like about it seemed like, for me, is like, you get a quick feedback, a quick response back from people on Twitter sometimes than you do Facebook.
Yes.
And the weirdest thing is like I got on there and chatted with different like celebrities, and some people like, oh, that ain't them, that's they people. No, this is them.
Right.
This is them. Because
the certified mark.
It's a certified mark, and then it ain't like some other, they like A-list type celebrities. I'm like, I'm not on there chatting with Ben Affleck, who's getting ready to star in Batman. They got everybody tripping on Twitter and Facebook and blowing up everything, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. So, man, I was just like looking at some of your, looking at your bio, going over some things, and so you got into. Tell me about how you got into the rap game like at age 15.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and like my older brother that I'm closest to as far as age, he stayed in music. He DJ'd. He used to go to Roller World up in Avondale all the time. Snuck me in there a couple of times when I was young, and basically there's like a 7-year difference between me and him. So his thing was, look, you're gonna roll with me, you gotta act older. So there's a couple things you can't do.
Right.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I didn't start appreciating the music until I started hearing Parliament, started hearing Ohio Players, started hearing Barcades, things like that. It was just a matter of finding my groove. And then once I got into that, I heard Rapper Dapper Snapper, then I heard Sugar Hill, then I heard Grandmaster Flash, White Lines, and all that.
White Lines. Oh, God. Dude, that is
the
like...
orchestration, just everything, man. They made it relevant,
yeah.
You know?
It's the type of track, because every time it's like, it's certain tracks out there, certain beats, certain songs that, me being a filmmaker, it's like, I could hear that beat in certain movies that I would like to do in the future, and like I would love to be able to get the license, especially to like White Lines.
Yeah.
Like,
man. Yeah, I mean, Flash and all of them, when they were in comparison. I mean, I listen to today's hip hop too. It's just I'm a fan of the genre, so where it goes, I listen to it. Now I pick and choose what I accept.
Right.
Just like anybody.
Right.
You may have a favorite basketball team, but not particularly like this player.
Right.
So I roll with it. But
so now this is what I was about to publishing. Ghost writing credits at age 16. Like,
yeah.
What was that? I mean,
this is exactly what happened. I was going to West High, and I've been writing. There was a group called Bond Hill Crew, and they were popping. They had the tape out and everything, and I was like, man, if somebody from Cincinnati could do that, then that's what I want to do. I was listening to Ice-T, Big Daddy Kane, so I would sit there at my desk and write, and I started learning how to do hooks, stanzas, verses, and everything like that. So one day, I'm from South Fairmount. One of the guys from Cheviot, the little better to do neighborhoods, he says, James, you write? I was like, yeah. He was like, what do you do with them? I said, nothing. I just write. I might say I'm in my mirror at home or something.
Right.
So he was like, me and my buddy are making a tape back then. He was like, we're making a tape. Why don't you let me get a song?
Right.
I was like, all right. So I wrote up something. I gave him one that I wasn't really particularly thought it was that great. So I gave it to him. Sure enough, a month later, here he comes back with the tape. And I'm like, what's this? He was like, look at track number 2. It's my whole song. There's 3 verses.
Right.
He did that one. His buddy did that one. I was like, the song in itself, to me, I didn't like. And then with them on it, made it even worse. Made it even worse. So I was like, all right, cool. But then I seen Jay Harris on there. I was like, I got a writing credit. And then, sure enough, they sold like maybe 50 to 100 units, like overall. But I got like maybe $40.
Something out of it.
Yeah.
But at age 16,
that was a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, shoot, okay, let me write another one. And then I started writing, but then I was selective about who I gave it to, too. You know, because you go through the creative process. When you have something, a finished product, it's like your children. You don't just let your children marry into something that you don't approve of.
Right.
So even though they may have known that I was writing and I wasn't performing anything, I was still getting requests like, hey, man, write me this, write me that. And for one reason or another, I just kind of sway off.
But man, I mean, like at age 16, and true, like you said, they might have sold 40, 100, whatever copies.
Yeah.
But dude, at age 16, like this world that I'm in, I was like so far away. At age 16, I was like me and my boy trying to holler at some little girl and let's see if we can't go in the back of the building. I mean, you know,
that was still happening.
But I mean, artistically, I wasn't nowhere. Like there was no sign, I guess. Other than I used to draw a little bit, but there was no sign at age 16 that I would be doing this. But at age 16, you know, it took you from that to like this, where you at today doing this. And I was looking at some of the stuff on your Facebook page, saw you mixing it up on it. So how did you get to that point? Okay, you was writing at 16, got into the game at 15, did a little ghost writing at 16. So when did you start really like, you know, working the
Oh yeah, actually recording. No, I understand. Actually recording. I started recording. I was 19. It took me all that time because I didn't have the money for the studio. So I found a buddy who did what he did with what he had. Excuse me. He had a keyboard, a Casio keyboard. He had a turntable that could sample, and it held like a 4-second loop. Okay. He had that, and he had a microphone with pantyhose on it for the spit popper.
Right.
And it was shotgun from that. So every day, we're not mixing, we're not mastering anything. We're just going.
Right.
I mean, I had a song like every week, you know. Right. So
see, now when you say that, I remember back in the day, I used to wonder like, because I didn't know a lot about, and I was like today, I still don't know a whole lot about music. I just know music that I like. But as far as recording it, I used to see that in the studio, and I used to be wondering like, why do they got a pair of panties in front of the mic? Yeah. What is that about? Yeah. You know, I was clueless to that. But being innovative, you know, if you can't afford the stuff that they have, you have to be creative, you know. So that was being creative.
Well, William Devine say, be thankful for what you got.
That's it. That's it. So like today, man, like, because I always like to talk to like cats like old, like, you know, your old school cat, probably ain't as old as I am, but old school guys had appreciation for the art when they came up in it, that today when you mention like a 2 Chainz or a Drake or a J. Cole, like what's your thoughts on it? Because for me, it's like there's some stuff that I listen to that I like. A lot of time it's the beats.
Right.
I think as far as 2 Chainz, some of the stuff, you know, it depends.
Right.
Drake, I'm a big fan of Drake. I just think Drake is a cold lyricist. I heard something the other day where somebody tried to talk about Eminem. He hasn't been doing a whole lot of stuff as he has been.
Right.
But somebody was trying to say like, M is whack. I was like, you need to just shut the hell up because you don't know nothing you talking about. Nothing. So where you at on this whole today hip hop rappers versus?
I got all mine. Like, you got kids and I got kids. All my debates come in-house. So I've got a son that's in a group, in crowd, him and the kid that I mentor. So we go back and forth all the time. He's 16, you know, and I got my 2 younger daughters. They rap and sing. So, and it's the same debate. It's 2 Chainz, it's Drake, it's J. Cole and everything. And to me, I understand, you know, for them, what they get out of it. Right. You know, it took me a while though. I didn't do it overnight because in my era, when it was Ice-T and NWA and everything else, my parents was definitely against it. When it was their generation, it was what's his name, Dolomite and Blowfly and everything. Right. And then before them, you know, everybody's got that generation gap because of the artists. Right. You know, so now I'm a little more tolerant. I listen to the lyric content of it. I'm a little more tolerant. I can sit there, some of the things that 2 Chainz may say or something. Drake is a great lyricist. That I'll give him because it took me a while. Me and my son used to just cap all day. I'd say Drake couldn't touch Big Daddy Kane, and he would get so upset. I mean, we would go at it, you know, and it'd start getting personal. We had to fall back, you know. But yeah, the more I sat down and really listened to them, some of them do have some validity and have something to say.
It's like Lil Wayne. I think Lil Wayne, I think, you know, first, like my son, I remember like, and he kind of like, he had his rappers, he like, or artists he like, you know, and then I remember he used to tell me about Lil Wayne. I used to be like, we I'm like, that guy, boy. But then after a while, I started really getting into a lot of stuff. Now, the recent stuff that happened with him, and I think it was a bit it was controversial with a comment that he made about Emmett Till.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see, that's the thing I think is kind of different. I think like a lot of the old school rappers, the Big Daddy Kane, you know, even Ice-T and some of them guys, they would have never went there. You know, it's like
they acknowledge their past,
right?
their
you know,
history.
And it's like true. We live in a country where you have freedom of speech, you have certain rights where you can say and do certain things,
right?
But do it always mean that you should,
right?
You know, I could get on this show that I'm doing now and just talk about some of the evil, craziest, sickest, wickedest type stuff and then post it online.
Right.
But why would I want to do something like that when I know that it could be deeply, deeply offensive to people? Hell, this probably is offensive to people now. Some people are probably like, oh, there's those damn black guys again talking about hip hop.
They should have never gave y'all no money.
Right. but you know what I'm saying? It's like, don't you think that there should be somewhere where you need to just say, hold up.
Right.
Like Baby should have told him, like, you know how Baby is. I always think, hey man, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that line.
The money hands.
Yeah, you should have did right. Like, man, I put that one in there. Don't you think it should have been a little brakes put on that though?
That's where with what I'm doing now. It's kind of the big brother theory. You know what I'm saying? Even on good times, JJ even snatched Michael up once or twice, not effectively enough, but to tell him like, look, you know, stay in your place.
Right.
You know, you're talking about our heritage. This happened to us. You know, and you shouldn't be going against that grain. You know, when rap was budding, hip hop was budding. It started around like the Black Panther era, you know, and all that other stuff. We had those gangs, but there was still some consciousness to it of, you don't cross that line. You know what I mean? And with nowadays, I think this generation is more concerned with attention. And plus, the record labels, they're not flawless in this by far.
Right,
man. You know, the record labels, I told my son, I said, you go to McDonald's, everybody's got a certain uniform.
Right.
You go to a record label, everybody's got a certain uniform. You put this chain on, you put this on, you put that on, you put on these skinny jeans, and you get out there. As a, you know, if they don't have any type of say in their characteristics or what they wear, it's a wrap.
Right. Yeah, I just kind of like, when I heard the Emmett Till piece, and I was just kind of like, you know, yeah, you had a right to do that. Yeah, we live in a free country, but was it necessarily the right thing to do? I mean, it's the whole controversy right now with Russell Simmons doing the video skit about the sex tape of Harriet Tubman.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now, I saw it. If I step outside myself and not think of it as being Harriet Tubman, I laughed, okay?
Right.
Throw rocks at me, America, beat me down, but I did laugh. Now, I do a lot of creative writing. I do a lot of skits from the Basement Show. You know, we do a lot of stuff on there because it's a variety show.
Right.
I do a lot of that kind of entertainment. Would I have done something like that? Would I came up with an idea like that? No.
Right.
If somebody would have approached me for something like that and said, would you put this on the show? No, I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
You know, so I just think that somewhere you got to put brakes on. Because you say you got kids. How old are you?
My son is 16. I have a daughter that's 13. I have my youngest daughter that's 11.
Okay. So you're originally from Cincinnati?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Born and raised.
So how is like for the like what's the hip hop scene here? Like where do we stand?
It's coming back.
Is it?
Yeah, it's coming back because a lot of the venues that we have, shout to Neighborhood Watch. At a time when I was coming up, the venues wasn't really there. You had one or two clubs that would let you perform or whatever. But nowadays, with the way social media is and everything, and now you can have a recording studio right there in your bedroom now, you know, so there's more means, there's more resources. So we have some phenomenal artists here in Cincinnati. Like I said, we got In Crowd, Young Skip, he's another one. Cuddy Marciano, he's another one. And these are guys, they're writers, superb. That's his name, superb. Okay.
But he's a superb writer.
Oh God, yeah.
Right,
Corey Bread, there's a ton of them. It's just a matter of finding your field, you know, because take the time to Google Cincinnati hip hop or YouTube Cincinnati hip hop, and you'll find a huge amount of artists. And it's like they're just coming. It's not so much a factory where it's predictable. It's just like, okay, you'll branch off of this. Back when I was coming up, there was a difference between NWA and De La Soul.
Right.
You know, and you can have an appreciation for both. It may just be a song or two, But now with the artists that we got, this is a great time in hip hop for Cincinnati artists. Great.
That's good. Because like I said, I've met quite a few very talented rap artists. I had someone on the show. My producer, High Status, very talented. We had Cheech Mob on the show, very talented. So I'm just glad that that we have a opportunity. We have artists here that are not so like, well, I can't do my thing here because I'm in Cincinnati. Because sometimes that's the mentality. People have this mentality that because I'm in Cincinnati somehow, as if like I can't be as creative, I can't be as artistic as they are on the West Coast or out in New York, and that's crazy.
It is. It's insane. And they go. We talked about this the other night. They hit New York, they hit Atlanta, or they hit California. Those three. And really, not to knock any of them, we got it right here.
Right.
And I mean, the time is now.
Right.
It took a lot for you to put this together, and you still keep doing it. And it's a matter. I think it's a matter of talent. It's a matter of skill. And it's a matter of support. You have to support these artists.
Right.
You have to. It's vital.
Now I saw you was doing some stuff on Wave. Long time ago, I used to do some stuff
back when they was in the arms.
Yeah, when they was in the arms.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir. I started right down there in that basement. That was a basement, bro.
Yeah, the basement. That was the real basement.
That was woo. That was some old Silence of the Lambs and rubs the lotion on the skin type.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So when you was over, what was you just spinning records over there?
Just a guy, DJ Remix. He's I believe he's still there. He was one of the guys that put me on. I came up with him, DJ Eminem, Goldfingers. I fill in. We'd do little skits, prank call people 3, 4 in the morning.
Wow.
It was something. We had a little FCC issue there for a second, but we got that cleared up. Thank you, Jesus. We got it all cleared up.
See, now here's the thing. It's one of the cool things about online. You're doing your own show. Even though I'm trying to keep this one kind of clean.
Right.
I'm trying to keep something that's a little bit like not too far over the edge. And but I guess that's the thing today with internet and the technology that you have that freedom to, like, again, what we talked about earlier. Just because it's free and just because you have the right to do it don't necessarily always mean that you should.
Exactly.
So you're doing a thing now with you're the chief operator with the Mint.
Yeah, the Mint.
Give us a little bit about that.
What we do over at the Mint, we cultivate and we groom the artists, get them prepared to be released out into the genre that they're choosing. Right now we're strictly hip hop. We're looking to branch out, but primarily what we're showing them right now is how to read a contract. And not only that, but how to pick appropriate representatives for you to read, because you don't want to be the rapper and the lawyer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just be able to read for yourself too. My mom, God rest her soul, she always had a saying, it's okay for you to eat at other people's house, but know how to cook.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
so know how to cook.
Yes.
So, I want them to be able to decipher, is this contract in my best interest? And this isn't a spoiler alert or nothing. The record companies are in it to make money.
Right.
It's not a joke. It's really, if you take a kid from, say, Rockdale that's never seen $100 and you give him $10,000 advance, that's going to be recouped later on his record sales, and he doesn't know. He just sees that and he's signing away. And God forbid the album doesn't do anything. Where does that leave him?
Right. Yeah, that's the whole story that a lot of times I think artists don't understand, is that the record company, when they they look at you and they say, okay, you're going to be the next sensation.
Right.
Right. Because you're going to be the next sensation, you need to look like that.
Yes, sir.
So here's a little something to go out and get you some bling. Here's something to go get you a little ride. We're going to do the video for you.
Yeah.
You can't have you staying with your mom. You need to be staying over here in this nice place.
Yes, sir.
Then the record starts selling. You hear it. They bumping it. You see the video. Everybody's talking about you. Then you go to the record company like, yeah, it's all over the place.
Right.
Where's my money?
Right.
And they're saying, well, right now, your money is like recouping what money we gave you.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we hit that mark of, what did we spend on you? I think we spent about $5 million on you. Mm-hmm. When we get that back,
then we could talk.
Then we talk about your money.
We ain't got to the R part of royalties yet.
Right.
You ain't even there.
See, that's the thing, man. A lot of people, they don't understand that part of the game.
No, they don't. And I mean, do you know how rare it is for a Jay-Z to come out of a group of, let's say, 50 rappers? Do you know how many cycles you would have to get to that, where he sat there and said, okay, the popularity's cool, but I'm gonna get everything in order to where even my wife is making the type of cake that I make.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So, you know, if this falls off, me and her is good. You know, so I mean, you got to think further than the block. You got to,
Right.
you know, they're not planning past 30.
Right.
Honestly, man, they're not planning past 30 for life, for a career, anything. You know, and what we do at the Mint, we prep them and we talk to them real and we talk to them honest.
Okay.
Sit them down, let them watch Behind the Music on VH1 and show them
Right.
like, hey, okay, well that was a rock group, but same difference.
Right,
You know what
right.
I mean? That can
Still
happen to
applies,
anybody.
still applies.
Yeah.
So what you got here on this, what's on your iPad? What's that?
You know what? Not knowing what was going to happen down here, and I know that you're a big advocate of wax and everything.
Oh, that's technology, dude.
That's a classic.
Oh man, flashlight. That was like that was a joint that when it came on in the club, if you were sitting down or whatever, as soon as it came on, everybody got on the floor.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like with what you were saying before with technology and everything. This is perfect for. Instead of old school, I say the graduates.
Right.
This is cool for the graduates like us.
Right.
Where you're on the go and you just want to feel that, like, have that display of them turntables in front of you or whatever.
Right.
It's just for creativity. Like, you get struck with it all times of the hour.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll let me record a quick mix.
And I see what you said, because that's one of the beautiful things about, you know, we always talk about old school, how great it was, but thank God for technology.
Yeah.
Because technology makes things so much more simpler. Now, hint, you know, I see this all the time, and it happens a lot when I'm at the store and I'm trying to like get out of there real quick, and there's usually like somebody that's about 75-year-old, and they're in front of me, and they pull out the debit card or the credit card for the first time, and where did I swipe this thing yet, baby? And what buttons do I push?
Ain't pulled the sticker off, bro.
Right. You know, sometimes I always be like, you know, old folks and technology, sometimes it don't always mesh too well together.
You jump in the next line, don't you?
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Well, you know what, man? Like I said, I was glad to have you on as a guest on my first show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
We was hitting each other back up and forth on Twitter. Definitely one day like to have you back on here. Is there any way that you want to put out there some info that where people can reach you? Is it on
Twitter? We was just talking about Facebook and Twitter. Hit me on Twitter, FlyCoca513 at FlyCoca513 FLYCOCA 513.
Cool. Like I said, glad to have you on. Glad to have you as a guest on my first show. And I just want to tell everybody that look forward to keeping this thing going with the Basement Show spirit. It is the Basement Show After Dark with Lee Zellars.
I'm sorry, I got to cut you off. Can I do a shout out?
Y'all shout out. Can you shout out, bro?
To my wife, Julie. I love you. My 3 kids, Lolly, Fox, and Red. Love y'all too. And shout out to all Cincinnati hip hop, and especially shout out to Lee Zellars.
Okay.
Support this brother. Anything that you see with the Basement Show, anything you see with that Lee Zellars brand, because he's got a brand. When you see that brand, put that money on it.
Hey, thanks a lot, dude. Thanks for coming. I hope you all the success. I like what you're doing. You got a positive energy. You got a positive vibe. And a lot of that, I'm telling you, it's a lot of that comes from the maturity of being around for a minute, getting to understand things, getting to understanding like where we should be going with young people. And we just need more people like yourself that's in the game, that's doing something positive. Sometimes, we get so caught up in thinking like, oh, I ain't made a meal yet, oh, I ain't made this yet. Sometimes it ain't always about that.
Right.
Sometimes it's about just doing what it is you love, spreading a little of that love around, and just watching other people enjoy and bask in that. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, thanks again, bruh.
Pleasure.
Tune in the next time for the Basement Show After Dark with your host, Lee Zellars. We're out. Oh, let's get a little bit more of that going right here before we take this out of here. Oh, yes. Some of that Parliament. Okay.
Coming to you directly from the mothership. Half of the John Philly record. 500,000 kilowatts of deep on power. So kick that dig while we do it to you in your eardrum.